Hello, and welcome to another episode of Just Scare Us Already, the podcast where we discuss horror movies, both old and new. I'm Cheyenne with my podcast co-host, Dave.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Hope your year has started off well, and hopefully, you've seen some movies that interest you.
If you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe down below, as well as following us on all of our social medias. But for now, let's get into it.
All right, yeah. So, the horror film genre, unfortunately, is off to a shaky start for 2025. So far, Wolfman and Presence have failed to provide the needed scares. This week, we have the release of the sci fi horror comedy Companion. As we continue to dive into the various horror film genres, we will revisit the genre monster, and more specifically, the subgenre sci fi and aliens. So, for this week's episode, we will review the recently released Companion and review three of our favorite sci fi horror films involving robots and or clones. We kind of figure they both kind of fit interchangeably. So, with that being said, let's dive into it and see if Companion gets the first thumbs up kitty of 2025, or will we have another failed attempt to scare us? So, Shy, tell us a little bit about Companion.
Companion was written and directed by Drew Hancock, starring Sophie Thatcher, Jack Quaid, and Lucas Gage. A billionaire's death sets off a train of events for Iris and her boyfriend's friends during a weekend trip to the billionaire's lakeside estate. Sitting at a 94% critic score and a 91% audience score currently on Rotten Tomatoes. So, what did you think about this movie? Because I saw this one early on one of those secret screening things. So, I've been sitting on it. So, I've been waiting to hear your opinion.
Well, let's say, as we've mentioned in earlier episodes, nowadays the trailers are giving away too much of the film. Going
Yeah.
in knowing what the movie was about took a lot of the surprise out of it. And when the main twist was finally revealed, it was not as impactful as I would have liked it. What did you think?
No, I agree. Honestly, the teaser trailer, the first one that they put
Hmm.
out where it's the little date night thing and her hand goes over the fire, that one's great. I really wish that they had left it at that. Granted, even from that one, I kind of guessed
Hmm.
the surprise in it, but I think that was like a wild guess. So when
Hmm.
I saw the real trailer, I was actually kind of disappointed to see that I was correct, as well as it gave away a good chunk of the movie.
Right.
But I still thought that it was an enjoyable one overall. There were parts of it that I can't say I was shocked at, but some parts were like, oh, okay, that's a good little twist or little add-on for the film. I
Hmm.
think that they tried to do a few twists in it to kind of keep you on your toes, even if the main reveal was shown in the trailers and a bit lackluster.
Hmm. Yeah. um, yeah, I agree. It was entertaining. Would I call this a horror movie? Probably not. I think it was more sci-fi, dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the kills in it justified to be a horror movie. But I will say, I thought the twists were nice, similar to Barbarian, which this movie is by the same makers.
Yeah.
So they kind of threw in some of those similar twists. I thought the character development was okay, and there were a couple of scenes
Mm-hmm.
that got a chuckle here and there, but nothing that was laugh out loud. Um, and I know that the
I laughed
film,
a few times.
yeah, did you? I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, there were a couple of chuckles, and even in the audience, I was in a relatively um, full theater, and
Same.
I didn't hear anyone like really bust out laughing or anything like that. It's just
Yeah.
some lighthearted chuckles. So definitely a dark comedy. Dark comedies aren't meant to be like super hilarious. They're just supposed to
Mhm.
be funny enough on the surface where some people might find it funny while other people may not.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I think the film is kind of trying to tackle the issue of women being in difficult relationships and them trying to find themselves in their freedom. So they
Hmm.
kind of mask it in this sci-fi kind of robot way. But yeah, it I guess it made a point, but it wasn't a very strong point.
I think it made a good point. I
Think
liked it. I
so?
liked that at the end. Yeah, I like the ending of. I'm not going to do a spoiler, but I like how she has to overcome, um, basically the trauma that she's been through this whole movie and her relationship, and
Hmm.
how she has to overcome it at the very end. I thought that that was a really strong moment. Yeah, I don't want to put a spoiler, so I can't go too
Right.
in depth. But I
Right.
thought that as at least as a woman, and I've been blessed to never have been in a relationship that was controlling or anything.
Hmm.
But the way that she, I guess, is programmed and has to overcome that programming
Hmm.
that has been so ingrained in her. Because this isn't a spoiler, you see it in the trailers, but as a robot who's a companion robot, she's so ingrained to this person that
Hmm.
her having to overcome that whole idea of being controlled, I thought that that was really cool. And I thought that it did give the message really well. There were parts of it, though, that I thought could have been done better. And there are aspects of the movie that I thought were a bit too silly. I get it, it's a
Hmm.
dark comedy. And like I said, I got some chuckles out of me, and a lot from the crowd. Not anything laugh out, but like you said, it's not meant to be, you know, side splitting comedy. There's just supposed
Right.
to be quips here and there. And I thought that they did good job with the quips. I thought that the deaths in the movie were well done and funny enough that I would put this under maybe a thriller.
Hmm.
You have the moments of tension where you're hoping for Iris and you're scared for Iris. So all in all, I thought it was great. I thought that the actors did a really good job. Sophie Thatcher coming back from Heretic. I thought she was good in both movies. I thought she was good in this one. She does a little bit too much lip quivering, though, in this movie, that it was a little distracting. Jack Quaid did a great job. He plays his part very well of a charming boyfriend who has some secrets. And then the side cast was the two guys in it were hilarious. I knew they were going to be. I've liked them in other things, and they've been funny in everything I've seen them in. So I thought
Hmm.
they played the comic relief characters very well.
Yeah, I think Sophie Thatcher does another great job in the role of Iris. She's really becoming a standout performer. Lucas Cage also did a great job as Patrick. And most people might
Mm-hmm.
remember him from Smile 2. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
and then Jack Quaid, for me, he's very two dimensional. Um, he
Okay.
seems to be the same character in most of his films. You know, this quirky
What other
kind
ones
of.
has he been in?
Well, he's in the upcoming Novocaine,
Yeah.
and then he was in. Oh, geez, it was just on the top of my head, and I forgot it. But he's in a couple of other movies, and his character portrayal is pretty similar. You know,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, he's in
So
Scream, the series.
I haven't watched that, but there was another movie that um, he was in recently. I just can't think of the name of it.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I can see that from the trailer of Nova King, he does seem like he's going to be a very similar character in that one
Hmm. Hmm.
as he was in this one.
Yeah, yeah. So again, not to say that he did a bad job. It fit the role, but you know,
Yeah.
it just didn't stand out as well as most people would expect it to. But it worked for the movie. Hey, what did you think overall, and what do you give it?
So overall, I am actually going to give it a thumbs up, kitty.
Okay,
I thought that the
first one.
movie is, I know, first one of the year. I thought that although it did not scare me, like
Hmm.
we said, it's a bit more of a thriller. I thought that it's enjoyable enough that I would definitely go see it again. I think that the comedy in it is like we said, not laugh out loud, but I'm also not someone who typically likes comedy movies.
Hmm.
So the fact that it got chuckles out of me, I think, is a solid enough reason to go see it again as a comedy. But I thought that the action in it, the thrills in it, the way that they go about scene by scene for this sort of, I wouldn't say mystery, but this whole thing that's unraveling from one mistake that just I
Hmm.
love movies like that where one mistake spirals into several mistakes and several just convoluted crazy actions coming about. I think that it's so much fun to watch, and I think this is a great one for, maybe not a date night, but maybe like a girls night or a friends night.
Hmm.
Because I wouldn't really call this one romantic.
Yeah, yeah. Overall, I thought the film was entertaining. The directing and the pace of the film was good. I didn't think that there were a lot of slow scenes. Again, Sophie Thatcher, she keeps this film on track. You feel for her, even if you keep in mind that she's supposed to be, a robot, so she's not really a human, but you still feel for her, and she portrays the confusion and the shock of finding out that none of her existence is real. So it's
Hmm.
kind of that Pinocchio syndrome where you know she wants to go from not being real to being a real girl.
Yeah.
The film definitely gives you something to think about in relations to the not so distant future of AI. Um, I think as a society, we're becoming lazier. We want things so quick, so fast.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point where we order food to be delivered. We order groceries to be delivered. We're getting to the point where we don't even want to leave our house, and it kind of
Uh-huh.
reminds me of that Bruce Willis movie, um,
Yeah. Surrogate.
Surrogates. Yeah, where eventually we're gonna have robots representing
Dude,
us.
I would though.
I don't know if I would
I would
want
do
to
that.
shut off the world completely like that. For me, I don't think
Well,
I could exist
you,
like that.
well, you don't have to. You can get out of it.
Yeah, you
That's why I don't
can,
mind
but
surrogate.
yeah,
Because
you
like days when I
can,
don't wanna.
but it gets to the point though where people get so wrapped up in it that they never
Oh
leave the
yeah, it's
house.
crazy.
Yeah.
There's a whole site called character.ai where you can chat with characters, and there's a
Hmm.
warning on the bottom reminding people that these characters are not real. What they say is not real. And it's scary that there are probably people out there who genuinely get very attached, like the movie Her.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely here. But I again didn't think Companion was a horror movie. It wasn't too original.
Hmm.
It's kind of this kind of storyline's been played before, but I thought the overall story was entertaining enough to give it a solid thumbs up kitty as well.
Ah,
So
look at that.
there we go. We both
We got
agree.
two
Thumbs
thumbs
up.
up kitty for the first year for a non even horror movie.
I know, right?
Not purely horror movie. It is listed, so it counts.
Yeah. So thumbs up. It was good. So I think we both walked away with the same feeling that it was entertaining, but not a horror movie.
Yeah. But going into other AI slash cloning movies, we have our top three picks each. So do you want to get started? Do you want me to get started on my number three on my list?
Let's hear your number three.
Okay, so my number three is Blink from 2022. This one was directed by Natalie Kennedy, starring Rachel Shelley, Haida Reed, and Rebecca Claire Evans. It follows a desperate writer who signs up for a fully AI operated retreat to cure her writer's block. But when an unforeseen software glitch occurs, she gets trapped inside her unit with an unstable android and no communication with the outside world. This one you can find on Tubi. I thought that this one was a really fun movie. As someone who is a hopeful writer, I could imagine the absolute stress of being stuck in a remote cabin in which an android is refusing to let you leave until you finish your book in total. So that in and of itself is already like, ooh, that I would be stuck there for life. So
Yeah,
and that's
really.
what our character Honestly, it's so hard. And so that's what our character is facing, with the also added stress of the fact that she is having all of these traumas from her past with her mother kind of resurfacing as she's trying to write, which I thought that the reveal at the end of why her writing was so tied to her mother,
Hmm.
I thought that was really good. I know you, did you see this one?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So I don't know if you caught it because it was a really small reveal, I guess, but I thought that it was really clever as to why she could not get herself to write a book despite having been already a published author.
Hmm.
And so I thought that that was good. I thought that the acting was good. The android did a very good job. Haida Reed played an android very well. And the fact that the android is forgetting every single day what's happening. So she can't even be like, we've been stuck here for months on end. We're running out of food. All this stuff is happening. The android is just like not picking it up. I thought that was really clever and a great way of making an android that is, for the most part, I guess you could say the villain of the movie without
Hmm.
actually being a vindictive villain.
Right.
So I thought it's a fun watch. Watching a lot of I watched a lot of mine on Tubi, and you never know with Tubi movies how good they're going to be. So when I got on this one, I thought that it was a solid movie. It's not the greatest movie in the world, and it's not super high budget. You can tell it's a very low budget movie, but I
Hmm.
still thought that overall I was engaged enough to be curious about her past and her trauma, as well as finding the situation she was in dire enough to care. So that's my
Okay.
number three. And sadly, this is, I will give you an insight into my movie picks. This is the only Android one I found that I liked that was listed as specifically horror. So we will note that there were a ton of action and a ton of thriller ones
Yeah.
that were not listed on my list because they're not horror. So you're not going to see any iRobot or Ex Machina, sadly.
Okay. Yeah, and yeah, I had the same issue while I was, going through a list of sci-fi movies based on robots or clones. A lot of them are listed as sci-fi action, sci-fi
Yeah.
thriller. Not very many of them were listed as horror, sci-fi horror. So yeah, I did have some slim pickings as well. But yeah, I did see that film, and it was entertaining. Um, a little slow for my taste, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely a good watch. So yeah, good pick.
What about you? What's your number three?
Okay, so my number three, it's an older film. Surprising, right? But this one didn't do well in the box office. A lot of people probably never watched it because it didn't get a lot of good critic reviews. But I actually enjoy this film. It's not spectacular, and it's 1998's Disturbing Behavior, which
Mm.
stars James Marston, Katie Holmes, and is directed by David Nutter. So the film is about this newcomer, Steve Clark, him and his family move to the town of Cradle Bay. And he quickly realizes there's something odd about his high school classmates. The clique known as the Blue Ribbons are the eerie embodiment of academic excellence and clean living. But unlike the rest of the town, they're a little too perfect. When Steve's rebellious friend Gavin mysteriously joins the Blue Ribbons, Steve searches for the truth with his fellow misfit, Rachel. This film can be watched on streaming platform MGM Plus. I actually rented it on Vudu or
Oh,
Fandango,
okay.
uh, whichever one you want to call it. So this one again wasn't spectacular. It was a teeny bopper movie, so to speak. Um, but it was entertaining enough because here you have this town where this doctor is talking parents into an attitude adjustment for their children, and they're basically going in and surgically implanting this device in them that controls them, that basically tells them, you know you got to be smart, you got to study, you got to be part of the crowd. But then when they get upset or aroused, they kind of go psycho. So
Oh.
it's an entertaining film. I mean, it's one of those movies. If you don't have anything better to watch, you know, it's something to watch and
Mm-hmm.
enjoy a couple hours of just corny fun. So yeah,
It sounds like a teen version of Stepford Wife.
yeah, exactly. So it's similar to that, definitely, where they adjust the women to be the perfect wife. So these are adjusting the
Mm-hmm.
kids to be the perfect students, the perfect child. So yeah, definitely in that vein. But I enjoyed it. It's fun. It's a fun movie.
Good. Now the real question is, would you have done that to any of us?
Oh yeah, nah, 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 I'm just joking. No, you guys came out okay.
Well, I'm happy that that was on your list. I wanted to see it, but when I saw it was for rent, I didn't want to bother.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah,
But
it's
maybe
it's
we'll have
worth it's
to put
worth
in for
the
MGM.
yeah, it's worth the $3.99.
Okay, well that's good to know. My second one is Infinity Pool from 2023. You can find this one streaming on Hulu. It was written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg and starring Alexander Skarsgård, Mia Goth, and Cleopatra Coleman. Follows James and M. Foster, who are enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation in the fictional island of La Tolca, when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic terrorism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. This one surprised me that I actually enjoyed this one as much as I did. It's a bit of an artsy movie,
Hmm.
but it has a really interesting concept of if you could get away, if you're rich enough, if you can get away with just doing horrific crimes like murder on the chance that your clone will be killed in place of you, would you do it? And
Hmm.
also the additional question of are you the clone? Or and what does that matter at all? So I thought that was a really cool concept of how far you would be willing to go if you had the kind of money to do something like that and basically go about doing things without any sort of consequence, minus having to watch yourself basically get murdered every time you get arrested.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, also the question of whether or not it's even you who's being killed or your clone, but you don't know and you don't really feel any differently. So I thought that was really fun. We get to follow James, who becomes much more enthralled in this sort of world versus his wife, who wants nothing to do with it, is very disturbed after she finds out the truth and after she goes through it once. She wants nothing to do with any of these people. But James falls into this world with Mia Goth, and I thought that they do such a great job of showcasing psychos who do this yearly, as well as someone who wants desperately to be part of that group, because he also marries into the money that he has. He's not born rich.
Hmm.
He marries M. Foster, who I believe her dad had some sort of successful business. And so he kind of piggybacked off of her money. And so he already feels outside of the group of people who come to this kind of resort. And now he's trying desperately to join them and desperately to fit in while they are absolute psychopaths. I love this movie. I think it's very good. The ending is a little bit off the rails. There's a whole orgy scene that was, yeah, it's not it's too much in my opinion. It was very long and very weird, and there were psychedelics in it, so it was all kind of wonky. I think without that scene, it would have been fine. But
Hmm.
overall, I think the movie's fun. The ending gets crazy, but enjoyable. You're left with these psychos who basically just go about the rest of their day heading home, and one person, James, who is just left feeling stuck and confused and torn with what to do. And so overall, this movie is very enjoyable. It's a bit, like I said, it's a bit of an artsy movie, and it's definitely has scenes in it that I think are a little bit over the top, but
Hmm.
it's a fun thinker.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen that film. I've seen the trailer for it. It looked very convoluted. I was just like, I don't know
Yeah.
if I don't know if I want to watch that one. So I didn't watch it, but maybe I'll give it a shot this time. All right, yeah. So I'll definitely have to check that one out. My number two is 2016's Morgan, which stars Kate
Nice.
Mara and Anya Taylor Joy, and it's directed by Luke Scott.
She is in that.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't put it together either until I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's her. So yeah, this film, it's about someone named Morgan. She is a bioengineered child who began walking and talking after 1 month of existence, exceeding the wildest expectations of her creators. When Morgan attacks one of her handlers, a corporate troubleshooter visits the remote top secret facility where she's kept to assess the risk of keeping her alive. When the girl breaks free and starts running amok, the staff members find themselves in a dangerous lockdown with an unpredictable and violent synthetic human. So this one you can catch it on the streaming platform Max. Um, I love this movie. I liked it when it first came out. I was able to see
Hmm.
it in theaters. Great movie. The twist at the end was pretty good. Didn't see it coming. So you've got this child that's created, and it's super smart, very agile and strong, but not like Superman strong. But definitely stronger than you would expect a young person to be. But yeah, it definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat because you kind of feel for her. She doesn't really want to be part of this world, and then when she finds
Hmm.
out that she is about to be terminated, she just wants to survive. She just wants to live. Yeah, so she just wants to live her life. She doesn't. She just wants to get away, and so it kind of gets to the conclusion that should we be doing this? Should science be trying to replicate a human and then just trash them, whenever they want? So
Hmm.
yeah, it definitely brings up that whole is it okay to clone animals? Is it okay to clone humans? This kind of addresses that point. So definitely a good watch.
That's good. I remember the movie. It was very good. I very much enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Gosh, I forgot Anya Taylor Joy was in it. She's such a good actress. I love
Yeah,
her very
she
much.
definitely is. She definitely is, and she was a lot younger then too.
Yeah, so that's good to know. And you said it's on Max?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. I have to rewatch it sometime. But going into my final movie, this one was a bit of a surprise even for myself that it was on my list. But watching it again, I forgot how much I enjoy this movie. And I've seen it a few times now. And it is Elizabeth Harvest from 2017. You can find this one on AMC Plus. It was written and directed by Sebastian Gutierrez and starring Abby Lee and Karen Hines. It's a science fiction riff on the myth of Bluebeard, in which a young wife is admonished by her extremely wealthy, brilliant scientist husband not to enter one particular room in the estate. This one is a very fun watch. It has its slow moments. You definitely start off already kind of feeling icky about the relationship because it's a somewhat younger woman with a guy who I wouldn't say is old, but definitely older than her.
Hmm.
Very controlling, and she's meant to just kind of live her life in this mansion, never leave, never go anywhere, never do anything. There's, servants and maids and stuff who will do everything for her. So she's just meant to exist. But
Hmm.
obviously, as all things, curiosity killed the cat. And so Elizabeth finds herself drawn to this room of mysteries until she finds out the truth of the horrific cloning that is happening. every time an Elizabeth finds this room. And so I thought that this one was really great, and the twist comes off very quickly. So you're kind of left sitting with this clone woman now. However, there's great twists that come again later on in the movie that I thought were well done, and kind of shifted the entirety of how you view the movie in a kind of fun way. So I like this one a lot. The acting in it is great. I think Abby Lee does a very great subdued job of her role. Karen Karen Hines does a great scientist who is extremely smart but pretty sadistic in my opinion for doing any of this. And
Hmm.
then it has a few other actors in it who I adore. So this one is it's a good watch. It might surprise you how much you might enjoy it. It's definitely another one that I don't think had a super high budget, and if it did, it was probably mostly spent on the actors as well as the setting,
Hmm.
because it's really just shot in this one mansion. There's not a ton of high tech stuff to it, just kind of the one clone room. But overall, I think that it's still an enjoyable watch. Like I said, it might be a little slower for some people, especially the beginning part of it. But once she finds out the truth, things kind of pick up pretty quickly.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I That's another one I have not seen. I actually had never even heard of it until
Yeah.
you sent me your list, and I was like, Elizabeth Harvest. What the heck is that?
Yeah, it used to be on Hulu, I think, when it came out.
Okay.
And I had seen it on that. And I watched it, I think, twice maybe on Hulu. So I was very happy that it was on AMC Plus so I could watch it again for the list, because watching it a third time, I still very much enjoyed it.
Hmm. All right. Yeah, definitely have to check that one out.
And
All right.
what about
So
you? What's your very top number one of all Android slash clone horror movies?
yeah, well, this one, I was surprised. This made my number one. But when I think about it, though, I do enjoy the film. So it's 2023's Megan. Stars Allison Williams and Violet McGraw, and it's directed by Gerard Johnstone. So this is about Megan, a marvel of artificial intelligence, a lifelike doll programmed to be a child's greatest companion and a parent's greatest ally. Designed by a brilliant toy company robotist named Gemma, Megan can listen and watch and learn as she becomes a friend and teacher, playmate, and protector for the child she is bonded to. Sorry. When Gemma suddenly becomes the caretaker of her orphaned 8-year-old niece, Katie, Gemma's unsure and unprepared to be a parent. Under intense pressure at work, Gemma decides to pair her Megan prototype with Katie in an attempt to resolve both problems, which is a decision that will have an unimaginable consequence. So, this one is available on the streaming platform Stars. Again, I love this movie. I When I saw the trailer when it first came out, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, okay, here we go, a female Chucky. but
Yeah.
um, but actually, it was a very well done movie. The story is not original. You know, it's been done before,
Yeah.
but the way it's presented and um, the bond between I almost forget sometimes that it's actually a real person
In it.
playing the robot in some scenes, and then in some scenes it's actual animatronics. But it's just a well done movie. The ending is predictable, as most movies are, but
Of course.
I'm definitely looking forward to Megan 2.0. I'm definitely interested to see how they extend the story. But overall, though, it's a good movie. It's creepy because again, we're becoming a society where we have everything. We just give it voice commands. Turn on the light.
Hmm.
Alexa, do this. Siri, do that. So it definitely makes you wonder how bad things are going to get in the not so distant future with AI and robotics. You know, how many households are actually going to have something like this for real, where this robot is babysitting your kid?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
But luckily, it'll only be the rich people, so we're safe.
Well, if you think about iRobot, everybody had some form of a robot
Yeah,
assistant or you know maid or companion. So yeah,
it'll take them forever to give it to the poor people.
right.
Let's be real. But that's a good choice. I think that's what Child's Play, the remake, was trying to be.
Mm,
Well, obviously it came out first, but I think that's what it could have been if it
yeah.
just did not do it as Chucky.
Yep.
Because similar
Yep.
thought process to the both movies, in my opinion, except one, is the scientist who created Megan, and one is just a toy that anyone could buy.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at both child plays, the original and the remake, the original was a possessed doll,
Yeah,
whereas the remake was a actual robotic doll that one of the programmers decided to take off all the safety features on it.
yeah. Which is, I have opinions on the whole concept of that, and then it kind of goes into companion as well about why they allow certain things to even be
Yeah,
like need a
exactly.
safety protocol against, but
Exactly. So,
I don't know. But good choice. I think that that's a great AI movie.
yeah, I enjoyed it definitely, and like you said earlier, there's a lot more out there, but they don't fall under the horror genre. So, there's definitely a lot of movies that are in the same vein as Companion, but they're more sci-fi than horror.
Yeah. But that is our list of our top three each of the Android slash clone horror genre. And next week we will see what genre we are going to be tackling then. I think it's going to be slasher for the upcoming movie Heart Eyes.
Hmm.
So make
Yeah.
sure that you catch us next week when we talk about what our opinion is on Heart Eyes, as well as what our favorite holiday slashers is going to be. Bye.
Bye, everyone.